So you guys did an amazing job, and I can't believe it was such a short period of time. So, I mean, you guys have all done such amazing things. I mean, from Alexander's Games, Raphael, I think that the ability to change a car tire, I mean, I think that's well thought out. Obviously the concierge service makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of efficiencies here that were pointed out. I mean, Michael, that's a great idea there. And William, the fitness, that sounds really exciting. I'd like to get my kids involved. And Gail, with the mobile truck, it's always hard to find people that can bring all the equipment to a particular location. Grigori, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I actually thought the UV light was pretty amazing, and it's interesting how people have those air purifiers that you can buy that you plug in, and they supposedly use some sort of electromagnetic field to attract particles. But I wasn't really aware of the UV light. I've seen those wands that are used to clean, I think, like, is it bed bugs or something to that effect. And so I think that that's really brilliant. So with a good marketing plan, I think that's great. I mean, Kevin Johnson, you have great experience. Christine, I loved the social media, and I'd love to talk with you offline. I mean, that's amazing. So in this short period of time, you've been able to get 1,200 users?
Oh, no, this was a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
I did it on meetup.com. So like I said, I formed a meetup within a meetup, and I put all of those categories, and I told all the members to do that, rate one another. I basically told them all that. In fact, Meetup shut me down. I could not go on Meetup anymore because they said that's a website, really, and you need to get a website. So I went to San Francisco to get partners, and I told Professor Bruce that I actually presented in front of investors in San Francisco, but they shot me down because I'm not a engineer. So I was the business aspect, and I wasn't bringing the coding experience. So they didn't trust that I could execute the project, and I got no's from all three. So I shelved it. So this is literally a 5-year-old program.
Wow, well, that's pretty impressive.
And I still get emails. So it's sad, but yeah, I still get emails. When are you gonna do this program? When are you gonna do this website? So yeah.
That's great. Marcos, I think it's great that you're targeting your market. Brian, I think those seats are great. I'd love one of those. And Curtis, I love your quote. I'm actually going to borrow it, 55 minutes defining a problem, because if Dream It, Code It, Win It, that's what we focus on. And I think your focus is right on. And, Andre, I wouldn't even know how to, make my own personal data secure. So I think, and I have degrees in computer science, so I think that's pretty good. But anyway, I think you were all great, and I look forward to speaking with you guys offline afterwards.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I completely agree. I mean, it's, seeing all of you up there speaking, you seemed comfortable. It was entertaining. I was interested in what you were saying. So I thought just fantastic, because I think that public speaking can be very difficult. What I'll do is I'm going to give some more general comments on just presentation style. So not anyone in particular. There are a couple of people I'm going to point out just because I thought they were just exceptional in terms of the presentation style, but just kind of general in terms of presentation style. So I think that especially when you're in a room, if you're pitching to someone, especially in an environment where there are a lot of people speaking, it's a short period of time to get whatever it is you want across. So I think that the way that some people laid out their arguments, like that this is the problem, this is the solution, and here might be some of the problems, like here the competition, things like that. Very kind of clear and concise manner to kind of lay things out so that people kind of know exactly what you're talking about. So Christine, I mean, you did that. You kind of described exactly what the problem was. The same thing with William. You kind of you've been very clear that this is the problem that you saw. This is the solution, and here are some of the competitors that exist that might be a problem. So I think it's just a good way to to kind of do that. The other kind of more general comment I'd say is that slides are very good for bullet points, but if you're reading them, right, the room can read. So I think it's really important to just utilize the slide, and even if the slides are meaty and they have a lot of words in there, that's fine, and it's fine to maybe go over what's on the slide, but also I'd spend some time kind of elaborating on what's actually on the slide, because I think that it adds significantly to a presentation when either there's a bullet point and you're just talking to the audience, because people prefer that. Whenever you're reading, whether you're reading your slide or you're reading a piece of paper, people tend to lose interest because they feel that you're just, you're not as connected with the people that you're trying to pitch to. So I think it's always a good idea, and as Bruce said, I think it's really important to kind of give a lot of thought beforehand to what you say. But even if you don't say exactly what you thought you were going to say, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, as long as you are, like, the slides can be used, the bullet points can be used to say these are the key points that I want to get across, and however it is that you get those across, and if you can get them across in a very conversational manner, I think that's really the most effective way of doing it. The other thing with respect to presentation, I was very happy when I saw Curtis not stand in front of the podium. And it's fine to stand in front of the podium, but I love the way he moved away from the podium, and it was, I was just like, wow, this guy, he's using the clicker, he's pointing to his slides, and I thought it's really engaging, because I think it is easy. I mean, I know I do it myself. Podium is a security blanket, right? You're behind the podium. It's nice to stand behind it and have a piece of paper, but it is a lot more engaging when one is, when you're interacting with the audience in a fashion to, in the way that Curtis was. Just a couple of things. Okay, so. Yeah, and I think that, and as I said, I think that, like, a lot of really great ideas, right? So, and I think that I echo Christina's sentiments in terms of, she went through each individual, a lot of really great ideas, and definitely, ideas that, I'm interested in speaking to some of you more, like, the data security as a lawyer and a lawyer in a small firm, and I see it in large firms as well. We really struggle with that because we have a lot of information of, client information, and it's still unclear, even from an ethical perspective, if we have our information stored in the cloud and there's a breach, like, who's responsible? Probably us, right? So kind of making sure that those things are taken care of, I think, are really important. Another thing I really wanted to point out, and it was something Christine said based on Christina's discussion with her, just always remember, right, that 1 million people will say no to you, right? You'll go and you'll present and you'll pitch to 1 million people and they'll say no, and don't let them discourage you. Every single successful entrepreneur has had no said to them 1 million times before they've actually, kind of done something that is really successful. So it is it's very easy for people to say no, or for them to not like one part of your idea and kind of, try to shut it down, or say that, because, they say to you, well, you don't have an engineer, you could find one, right? They could, if that's not it's a great idea. So then they could, that's the step. There are going to be lots of people in that process that, you would need to move it along and make it successful. And like I said, the first people will always say that to you, no, 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 and it's a lot easier for them to say, and just don't let it discourage you. So.
Thank you.
Wow, I don't know where to go. These are all great, a lot of great feedback. I first want to say that the fact that you guys started on June 4th is very impressive, and I think the work that you've done, getting the presentations down to 3 minutes, incredibly hard to get your point across, to present it to a room. It takes so much time and effort, so I really applaud everyone in the room, and I think you really should, be proud of yourselves, because I think to do this in such a short period of time is very impressive. I think just what Ian said about, I wasn't going to say it, but what Ian just said about people saying no to you, people have said no to me so many times, and I think it's such great advice to never be discouraged in what you're doing if you believe in it, because you're going to hear a lot of no's, and I hear no's all the time. They hurt just as much now as they did when I first started something. I'm like, of course you need to believe in what we're doing. And when you get the first yes, it's great. And when you get the first person, whether it's your first customer or your first investor, it is amazing. And just don't be discouraged. and ask anytime someone tells you no, ask them why, and use it as an opportunity to get feedback and improve what you're doing. And I can tell you that we, just briefly on with what we do, I still get those same answers. Well, your TV show's only in 5 markets. Oh, well, now it's in 100. Does that make a difference? Well, sometimes you get all this stuff. So
Should be 101.
exactly.
One more.
And so anyway, so I say don't be discouraged, no matter what anyone says to you. Just if you believe in it, passion is very important, and it takes you anywhere where you want to go. And I think I'll follow in Christina's line and kind of give feedback on each presentation, just a bit of thoughts. Alexander, I thought, was very interested in understanding a little bit more about how the gaming worked. I think you're kind of in development, but I really see there's a lot of opportunity in that area, and just would love to learn more about your vision. Raphael, I just thought it was neat, the idea of plugging something into your cigarette lighter, and the fact of just thinking about a light there, or like why, I'm just thinking to myself, why doesn't that exist? I don't know the market, but I was thinking, why can't you just have something powered to change your tires? It's like a no-brainer. Douglas, I thought immediately about TaskRabbit and about what you were doing and how do you scale what you do. It doesn't sound like you need a lot of investment, but obviously you're passionate, you've been doing this. That was one of the things that I kind of picked up in your presentation, was thinking about what that is, and maybe it's a higher form of like TaskRabbit. Michael, I don't understand why that doesn't exist, the Congressional Resource Network. It seems like it's almost like I can't even understand how our government doesn't function without that sort of.
It's frustrating the hell out of me right now. Trust me. I got to work there next Tuesday.
I mean, it's like, I was thinking to myself, how do you start a business like that? It seems like having like a directory of all of your Congress, like, it seems like the government should be doing it. But maybe it's just you starting it out and building it. Like it could be like the Bloomberg for.
Well, I'm modeling after motorpool.org, which is an Army sergeant who connected all 800 Army websites together into one. So if you're not on that and you're in Army maintenance, then you're failing your job. So that's what I'm kind of modeling it for that. I'm just doing it for Congress.
I think it's great. I love to talk to you more about that. Gail, we should talk. We produce a TV show. Love to see what we can do to work with you and learn more about what you're doing. Gregory, I thought the idea of the leasing, the financing model for what you're doing was really interesting and innovative. And I thought to myself, a lot of people, when they put in solar panels or other things in their house, is there a way to? My initial thought was, God, that's really must be expensive to do. But if there's leasing options or there's other things to do to have that environmental impact in your house, I thought that was really interesting. And Dr. Johnson, just wondering, how do you scale what you're doing in terms of like beyond yourself and what that leadership looks like. Christine, I thought about my girlfriend who's moved to Los Angeles, and she wants to meet up and do fun activities, and I thought, God, that's a really interesting business. To me, I thought, I know you're looking at university and college and high school, but I was like, God, there's social networks already there. What about focusing on people that don't have social networks that may want to meet new people in cities? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that want to do fun activities that may not know people. Milagros, love the attitude. I mean, it's great. I felt like maybe there was a lot going on in your presentation, but I loved your attitude, and it felt like I instantly connected with you when you started. I just felt like you opened it up where you were very welcoming. Brian, loved the photos of people in their desks. I kind of looked around the room after you did that presentation, and I thought to myself, that's just such a great. I've seen that. I just wonder, how do you get people to buy into that, and how do you sell into these corporations? But I thought it was the data, the use of the data was great, and it just seems like I know like people look at those desks and they're all like, it makes a lot of sense, but it's kind of I know the health benefits, and Curtis, I was thinking that the quote might be better starting it at the beginning of your presentation. But I just I liked where you were going, and I thought that was really an interesting. I thought it was great to leverage your military experience to the private sector in that way, and I could certainly see getting a lot of customers and building that business. And Andre, again, I think what Ian was saying was great. I mean, there's so many small businesses that really need that resource, and it's like, who's out there to do that? I mean, it's you're at law firms. I think like small law firms would kind of gravitate towards that solution. So, but anyways, Bruce, I think you did a great job. Thank you for including me. I mean, that's a great idea, Bruce. If you guys are like beyond the entrepreneur road, if you're interested in working at different companies, we obviously every company that's featured on Hiring America is hiring veterans. So if you see clips or you see people and you want to get more information, certainly reach out to me or Bruce, and I'll give you everyone my email and contact information. So don't hesitate to be in touch.
Jim.
Yeah. I'll take it from maybe just a slightly different perspective. Having done this is the third time I did it, and I have to say the presentations were all excellent, and as a total, they were even so much better than the long ones.
But we're learning as well.
Yeah, so, no, but I mean that for each of you. I too was impressed. Several, I don't want to pick out, you really hit it on the head. Clear, complete, concise. You all heard that in the military. And that's another thing. Thank you all for your service. That you virtually all of you hit the nail on the head. You defined the problem, you defined a solution, and you gave your experience and your way to get to it. And that, if you're making a pitch, and I too have talked to investors and tried to get people to invest money with me many, many times, and you get a lot more no's than you get yeses. You don't need you can't have everybody say yes. That wouldn't. You'd love to, but you can't. So you got to keep doing it, and you just have to remember, don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. Because you're going to get that yes. If you keep trying. And Bill brought up something extremely important. Is if you get the no, ask for the reason why, because that way, you can go back and not just refine your pitch. You may have to look at a particular assumption you've made that, the person you're asking for the money, who may have some experience in that field, may have a really good reason for saying no. He may have seen something, he or she may have seen something that you need to incorporate, and you need to be open to that, because you're new at whatever it is you're doing. You want to keep going, but you have to take the feedback and incorporate it into your own plan, your own outlook, and then to the next investor. You don't know the next backer or the next client you're trying to sell somebody. So, and I'll talk to a couple of you directly. I think the idea of the lug nut and the wrench and everything, that's like one of those things that it's all there, but putting it all together, that's really incredible. I just had an experience recently, and I've changed tires for 50 years, and it was harder than hell.
Even the first boot camp, I think I remember we had an automobile sitting coming to the first one we did here.
Right.
Yeah.
So things like that, and some of them were really, really good. And as Andre, I've got protection. I pay somebody a lot of money, a local person. I got hacked this week. My email, not the data, but the email got hacked. So yes, small companies need that, and the big guys don't want to deal with people with a $1 million or below budget. They want they want hundreds of millions. So, okay, so I'll talk to some of you individually. It's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.